It was a rainy Friday night when Alyssa decided to call an Uber instead of waiting for the bus. She had just finished a long shift at work and all she wanted was to get home, curl up with a blanket, and forget the world. The app showed her driver, Daniel, a man in his late 30s with sharp features, dark hair, and an unsettlingly blank smile in his profile photo. His car was a black Toyota Camry, plates matching exactly as listed. Nothing unusual. When he pulled up, Alyssa slid into the back seat. The leather smelled faintly of cigarette smoke and air freshener. The driver greeted her with a polite nod but said nothing else. "Hi, Daniel, right?" she asked. "Yes," he said curtly. His voice was deep, almost monotone. The ride started normally enough. Rain tapped against the windows, and the sound of the windshield wipers kept a steady rhythm. Alyssa pulled out her phone to scroll, but after a few minutes she noticed something odd. The route wasn't what the app displayed. Instead of heading directly toward her neighborhood, Daniel seemed to be taking a long detour through quiet, unfamiliar streets. I think the GPS says you can just take the highway. It's faster," she said, leaning forward slightly. Daniel didn't answer right away. His eyes stayed fixed on the road. Finally, he said, "Don't worry. I know a better way." Her stomach tightened. She double-checked the app. Yes, the ride was still active, but her estimated arrival time kept extending, minute by minute. "Better way?" she pressed. "But this is way out of the route." He interrupted flatly. Sometimes the app is wrong. Something about his tone froze her. There was no friendliness, no reassurance, just finality, as if he had already decided that she shouldn't question him. Alyssa's heart pounded. She typed a quick text to her roommate. "In Uber, driver taking weird route. Will share location." She hit send. A moment later, the app glitched. Her phone displayed ride has ended. Her breath caught. She hadn't touched anything. "Why did the ride end?" she asked, her voice trembling. Daniel didn't respond. His hands gripped the steering wheel tighter, knuckles pale. She tried reopening the app, but the trip was gone. No active ride. No driver info, as if it had never existed. The rain outside intensified, blurring the streetlights. They were now in a desolate industrial area, warehouses looming in the dark. Panic surged through her. "Listen," she said, forcing her voice steady. "If you don't turn around right now, I'm calling the police." Daniel let out a low chuckle. It wasn't amused, it was hollow, unnerving. "You can try," he murmured, "but no one will find this ride." Her blood ran cold. She quickly dialed 911, but before she could press call, Daniel slammed on the brakes. Her phone flew out of her hands, clattering to the floor. "Pick it up," he ordered, his voice sharp now. She froze, staring at him in the rearview mirror. His eyes were wide, gleaming unnaturally in the dim light. "I said pick up." Alyssa swallowed hard, but instead of reaching for the phone, she yanked on the door handle. To her relief, it wasn't child-locked. It swung open. She bolted into the rain, her shoes splashing through puddles as she sprinted down the empty street. Behind her, she heard the car engine rev violently. Headlights flared, cutting through the storm as Daniel's car lurched forward. She ran blindly, lungs burning, until she spotted a flicker of neon in the distance. A small 24-hour gas station. Summoning every ounce of strength, she dashed toward it. The car screeched behind her, tires skidding across wet pavement. She stumbled onto the gas station's lot just as the Camry slowed, idling menacingly at the curb. Daniel sat inside, watching her, his face expressionless once more. The clerk inside rushed to the door when he saw her, waving frantically. Daniel revved the engine once, then, without warning, drove off into the night. Shaking, drenched, and sobbing, Alyssa explained everything to the clerk, who quickly called the police. But here's the strangest part. When officers arrived, they checked her phone, the app, and Uber's records. There was no trace of the ride. No record of a driver named Daniel. No Camry registered in the system. Nothing. It was as if the driver and the ride had never existed at all. Even today, Alyssa doesn't know who or what picked her up that rainy night. But she swears that every time she orders an Uber now, she checks the driver's face 3 times. Because somewhere out there, the man who never ended the ride might still be waiting for his next passenger. James had been driving for Uber for almost 2 years. Most nights were uneventful. Drunk college kids, late-night workers, and the occasional chatty passenger who overshared. But one particular Friday night was different, so different that James never worked another shift again. It started at 1:15 a.m., just after he dropped off a couple downtown. The app pinged with a new ride, a pickup on the edge of town, near an old subdivision that had been half abandoned after the recession. The streets were cracked, streetlights flickered, and most of the houses looked lifeless. Still, money was money. He pulled up to the pin location and waited. A figure emerged from the shadows, a woman in her late 20s, pale, her long black hair damp as though she had been walking in the rain, though it wasn't raining. She slid silently into the back seat. Hi, for Melissa?" James asked. The woman nodded slowly but didn't speak. She kept her eyes fixed forward, hands folded neatly in her lap. James shrugged and started the ride. The app showed the drop-off point, a spot 30 minutes away, on a lonely rural road with no clear address. He frowned but followed the route. The first 15 minutes were dead quiet. Normally James would make small talk, but something about her presence made his throat dry. He caught a glimpse of her in the rearview mirror. She was staring not at him, but at the empty seat beside her, lips twitching as if whispering to someone. His stomach tightened. "You okay back there?" he finally asked. No response. She kept her gaze on the seat, whispering. He turned up the radio just to drown out the unnerving silence, but when he glanced in the mirror again, his heart skipped. She was smiling now, a faint, crooked smile, still staring at the same empty space. When they left the city behind, things grew worse. The road was dark, lined. James's chest tightened. He gripped the wheel, heart hammering. What the hell? The woman suddenly snapped her head forward, eyes locking with his in the mirror. Her voice came out distorted, layered, almost like 2 people speaking at once. "Don't stop driving." James's hands shook, but he obeyed, pressing harder on the gas. The trees rushed past outside. Minutes dragged like hours. Every time he dared look in the mirror, the shadow figure seemed clearer. Long fingers, a stretched grin, hollow eyes staring straight at him. Finally, the GPS came back on by itself. A new destination flashed. Cemetery Road. James's breath caught. Nope, no way. I'm done. He slammed on the brakes. "You're getting out here." The woman leaned forward, face pale and expressionless. "It's too late." The shadow leaned forward too, its face finally visible in the mirror. An eyeless, grinning void. James screamed, flung open his door, and stumbled out onto the roadside. He ran, tripping over gravel until he flagged down a passing truck. When he looked back, his car was gone. Just gone as if it had never been there. Police found his vehicle abandoned days later, doors unlocked, engine off. But the dashcam footage told the real story. James driving alone. No woman, no shadow, just him screaming suddenly, slamming the brakes, and fleeing the car. To this day, James swears he wasn't hallucinating. He insists there really was a passenger in the backseat. 2 of them. And whenever he drives at night now, he checks the mirror obsessively, terrified of who or what might be riding with him next. And that was tonight's tale. Next time you call a ride or glance into your backseat mirror, just remember, sometimes what you see isn't really there. Stay alert, travel safe, and if you ever feel something is off during your ride, trust your instincts. Because not every driver is who they seem, and not every passenger is alive. Sleep well, if you can.